Hola, hello, I am Pepe the King Prono Guy.
Oh, that's so f***ing cool. And that's how we completely destroy a power board on a Leader 120. Nice.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to modify our stock QX7 Taranis transmitter with these M7 Hall gimbals. Now I heard these should make me feel tingles in my down there zone.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, sometimes the penis gets hard without,
Oh, without an ejaculation of sperm? Oh, yes, that's right. You see, all an erection is an increase in blood in the penis, which is made up mostly of spongia. Now, when something excites us sexually, this tissue fills up with blood, and the whole organ is extended or hard, erect.
sometimes that just happens by itself, doesn't it? You know, like in the morning.
Oh, yes, you don't have to be thinking about sex to have an erection. Pressure from a full bladder can cause it, or rhythmic movements of the body, horseback riding, say.
But we'll just see about that. I got mine from getftv.com. They're fairly local to me. Another project we're going to do is we're going to add an external recharging plug to our Taranis so that we can just plug a power cable in here. As you can see, we can just plug in this plug into our plugging port, and that will go directly to our rechargeable batteries, and we'll be able to charge those without taking everything out and all that stuff. But that's going to be in a separate video that we'll do soon. And again, that is all for my stock QX7 Taranis transmitter that we're going to be doing that with. So as you can see, what this does is we're going to put a little hole in the side here. We're going to run that through, and then that all will run to my battery and we'll be able to charge it just with this simple plug instead of taking it out and getting your other charger out and all that nonsense. So that's going to be a fun one too, but that's for next time. So this time we're going to replace our stock gimbals here. They're ratchety, stiff, whatever. I mean, at least that's what everybody tells me. To me, gimbals are gimbals, but whatever. Heard these are better. Get FPV, I believe I got them for maybe $21 a piece to replace them, which didn't seem all that bad. So first thing we're going to do is take a look at the gimbals themselves out of the box. Here they are, come nicely packed. You get all this pre-wired, all set, so there's no soldering involved here. This is just plug and play, and there is a difference there in the feel. You can definitely tell when you play with them. So what we're gonna do is take off our leashes and accessories and go right into tearing this baby apart, which isn't too bad. It's not a whole lot to do. We're gonna have 4 screws, but first, of course, we're gonna have to take off our module bay door and our battery bay door, and we're gonna then remove our rechargeable batteries with our handy door instead of a screwdriver. And then we're going to pull the battery itself out and remove the 4 screws holding our backplate on. So I'm going to speed this up so you don't have to suffer through watching that, but the 4 screws are located 2 inside the battery bay door and 2 up there at the top. And you want to be super careful of these pins. You do not want to bend them because you're going to want to use those for modules later. Now I'm going to attempt to take out a screw that doesn't make any sense in the world to take out that one, because that actually holds the wiring harness in. You don't want that. You want the one right next to it. So we pull those guys out, and open that little clamp, pull the wires out, and then we have just to remove the wire harness plug from, or sorry, the wire harness plug from the board itself. Again, be careful with anything, of course, plugged in electronics. Be gentle on how you're pulling it out. Probably better than, with a little screwdriver than yanking on the wires. But likely we'll never use these gimbals, although I'm going to save them, put them back in those boxes, and keep them around in case I run into a problem. I can make a quick put them back scenario into play. So with our new gimbals, there is going to be a green, what looks like paint on the outside next to the two silver bars there, and that is your outside edge. You want to place that on the outside edge, and then you're going to screw those down with the same 4 screws, or you can use the new screws they gave you, and plug it all back in. Now, you can put the wires back in that clip harness, and definitely the yellow, black, and red fit in there just fine, but the green and red wire is a bit tight to actually try to get in there. So you can either leave it out, which is no problem, or you can try to get in there and pull out all the slack, and it makes it a little bit tight. I believe I chose on one side to put it in and one side not to put it in, but it's definitely not the easiest thing to get back to where it came from. So once we get our first one in here by screwing in all 4 screws, get our wires back in place, I started with my non-throttle side, so I didn't have to concern myself with blocking out the spring right away. So that's the side I started with. So what we have is now our other side that we're going to do, and it's the exact same concept. 4 screws to remove, 4 screws to put back, the same 4 screws to put back in, remove the wire from the harness, unplug it, plug in your new one, screw it back down, and re-plug in the plug. Again, there's going to be some green looking stuff on the outside, or basically you want the double bars on both of them on their outside edges versus the inside edge that you'll see the original ones came out. Now once you get your throttle side in your bag of screws, you're going to find a oddball, not a pointy tipped screw, but a flat screw that comes along with that. Now that's going to go right into the center. You'll see on that gimbal that we're working on now, about the center area, you'll be able to see a hole. So you want to push the throttle all the way up, and then right there on that arched piece, stick that screw and screw it in through that hole, which goes into the other side where there's a plastic piece. As you can see, I have it in there right now. That screw is at the center right there, through the bracket, through the bar. And then the next step will be to adjust these bars to get the tension in your speed side. So the inside edge, that is for smooth adjustment, and the outside one is for the ratcheted feel like you had on your original one. So depending on which feel you want is which one you want to tighten down the most. I had ratcheted on stock, but I'm gonna try the whole smooth side. So I cranked it down. Now, of course, I cheated and I've cranked down some of this before doing the video part. So what you're seeing is just the minute changes, but you'll find that it was pretty far up at stock, and you're gonna have to screw it down pretty tight. So, but fear not a problem. So now we're going to put it back together, and again, watch those pins. Now I'm going to use these very shortly to put my TBS Crossfire Micro module in the back of my system, and was able to get the damn near impossible to get kit, and last one actually available is what I got. So we're going to be setting up some long range in one of our quads soon. So be careful with those pins. You'll find that there is a notch, a little piece of the plastic that sticks out in the hole where those pins are, that goes between the first and second pin, and it goes between the last and the next to last pin, and that helps you guide your way down on where those pins belong. So now we're just going to screw the case back together, stick in our battery, put on our battery lid, put down our module cover, and do a little final test, make sure I don't have to take it apart again, and there you go. It's all set, ready to rock. The next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to calibrate the sticks, because if you just went out now, you're going to find that they're not calibrated, and you might find yourself drifting left, drifting right, or whatever. So what you want to do is turn on your transmitter. You're going to go into the transmitter setup, and you're going to go to almost, I think, the last page. It might be page 8 of 9, but you're going to find a, no, it is 9 of 9. You want to go to page 9 of 9, which is the calibration page. And it is pretty self-explanatory. You're going to press start and move your gimbals to the center. So look at your lines on your gimbals, and you can almost run your hand on the throttle one too to make sure it's flat. And once you're there, press enter. The next thing it's going to ask you to do is just like if you calibrate in a game, it's going to ask you to roll around the whole edges, and I put it back to center. I don't know if that's necessary, and press start again, and that's it. Then it's going to go back to where you started, so don't press start again or you're going to redo the process. Exit out, and now your gimbals are all calibrated and back to the middle. So thanks for watching the video. Coming up on our next one, we're going to go ahead, as I mentioned, and we're going to add this onboard charging system to it, which is going to make life a lot easier as well. So thanks for watching the channel, and we'll talk to you soon.